Hi, babies. Mwah. So today I want to talk about inner child healing, and I think um, even me as a spiritual advisor struggled sometimes with connecting my clients when they get to the part of inner child healing when they're supposed to healing when they're supposed to play, like how to re-engage their inner child. And one of the things that I eventually got to do in my journey was I had to really like get to a point where I was envisioning myself with my inner child, and there were two things that my inner child craved. One of them was safety. So I put her like in a hut on the beach, so that she could be near the ocean, but she was away from people and she was safe. But the second thing that my inner child wanted to do was play, wanted to have a safe space to play. And that's not to say that I didn't have toys as a kid or things like that. And I think that that was always the breakdown. It was hard for me to engage her through meditation because I felt like there was always a missing piece, right? Like playing board games or things like that, it still didn't quite feel like there was a healing connection to play. Now, when I've gotten to this point of the journey with clients, it's really tailored to them as a child, right? Like, one of them was like, I never got to play. I was the oldest sibling. I had to take care of kids, this, that, and other. So they were like, I don't even know where to start with that, right? And the idea of trying to figure out how to play and have childlike fun actually was very overwhelming for them. So I started them on simple things like coloring, because coloring can also be a way for you to, like, I don't want to say disassociate, but like kind of relax from the feelings of having to figure it out. Now, everybody is different and everybody has their thing. Um, but for me, something that I recently discovered that really like blew the top off of it, of the missing piece, was I've been watching Bluey with my daughter, and how the parents in Bluey play with Bluey and Bingo. So even if you don't have kids, watch a couple episodes. Um, that was the missing piece. They engage in their imagination, but but they're also honest parents. Like, there's a whole episode where they're hungover from New Year's Eve. They're like, I don't want to do that. You play with them. I'm recovering. So like, but there's simple ways where they don't. There are episodes where they do elaborate things like build a fort throughout the whole house, like, but even in the episode they acknowledge that that's excessive and unnecessary, so I can appreciate that. But like, they play imaginative games where, like, even like a simple game where like they blow up the balloon and they're just tossing the balloon back and forth. But the moral of the story is, watching that made me realize what was the missing piece for me and my inner child. And that was imaginative play. And I couldn't find that piece until after I had finished my book, The Oracle Foundations. And I think the reason why I couldn't connect to that is because I never, I, I have siblings, but they're younger than me. And like, I did spend a lot of time playing alone and creating these whole worlds with my toys and playing with my friends outside. To be honest, I didn't even like playing with my friends like that because they didn't have the script in my head of how I wanted the storyline to go. So after I wrote the book, I realized that it really was the love letter to my inner child, and that opened up the world so that when I watched Bluey, I was able to receive, like, oh, I need imaginative play. That's the piece that she's missing. Now, does that mean that I need to like dress up and pretend as an adult? Or does that mean that in my meditation with my inner child that I have to do that? Not necessarily. I have an 8-year old, so Really, what it did was it gave me permission to engage my 8-year-old in the way that my inner child needed it. And with imaginative play, there's a way that I'm reparenting my childhood or my inner child, not in a way where I'm forcing my child to do things that my inner child wants. My inner child wants imaginative play, and when I get into character in imaginative play with her, my inner child can come out and essentially enjoy that. So if you haven't watched Bluey or you don't have kids or whatever, if you sit down and you watch it just for that sole purpose of like even getting ideas of the silly ways that you can create imaginative play, I say do it. It'll open up a whole like piece of you that maybe you had like put away in a box on a shelf in your mind. Comment below some things that you think would help your inner child heal.